Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to another LandFX webinar. We are going to be showing off FXCAD 2020. This is pretty amazing. Every year, we just continue to try to push the bounds of what we can get out of FXCAD. And spend just inordinate amount of time on it, going over all of the ribbons and the menus and just installing AutoCAD over and over and over and over again, and just seeing if there's little registry tweaks we can add, if we can, rip out some other little thing. It brings in more people every year. So I think we're up to, I would say, 5 or 6 people were on the FXCAD project for this year, compared to 2012 when this all started with our first contract with Autodesk. It was just me, and so it's pretty exciting, just seeing what we can do and just continue to really get this flavor of AutoCAD more and more honed to its real name of FXCAD. It really is our version of AutoCAD. But hey, Amanda's going to run you through all the cool stuff with it. I have just a couple of very quick housekeeping items for you. There's that view options at the top of your screen. You can use that to exit full screen mode. I like to do that if I need to get to something important. And there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And I recommend go ahead and clicking it now. Get that question box ready so you can type in your questions. I'm sure there's going to be a lot. Happy to get them answered, and I'll get them all stacked up and ready for Amanda. And this is, of course, being recorded. So if you do miss any part of it or just want to watch it again, it'll be available for you on the website. So I think that covers all the stuff I need to yabber about. I'm going to let Amanda show you how awesome this is. Take it away.
Thanks, Jer. Hello, everybody. I'm Amanda, and I'm part of the team that helped put FXCAD 2020 together. It's arriving soon, at the end of June. So definitely watch it in our, watch more information about when it's being released, in particular in our newsletter next week. But you're going to get all the information ahead of time in today's webinar with me. So I'll show you our outline today, but first, here's more of that team that helped put together FXCAD 2020. I usually leave this slide to a little later in these webinars, but today it's front and center because on top of everything new and awesome in 2020 that I'm going to go over in the next 45-ish minutes, this is the #1 compliment that we get about every version of FXCAD, and the reason a lot of the existing users who are here today in this live webinar still use it. It's that we don't just put 2020 together for you, but this team also helps support it after while you're using it. This means that you don't have to go through the AutoCAD support line. You can just call us or send in a ticket and get help. And for any of our existing LandFX users who have done that before and know how easy it is, that is really golden. So if you're new to FXCAD and considering it as we go through this webinar, keep that in mind. And as we go through everything that you can expect for 2020 in particular, that this is something that's consistent every year. So here's our rundown for today. We're basically just going to kind of go through everything that you need to know about FXCAD and 2020 in particular. But let's jump into it with a quick reminder for those who already have FXCAD on the support version changes that are coming up. So this happens every year. We always support these latest 5 versions of FXCAD, and also this applies to AutoCAD, Civil 3D, and other like AutoCAD Map. LandFX itself supports those 5 versions. So if you have a 2015 and you're still running on that, just know that you are definitely going to need to upgrade to 2020 by the end of this year. As on January 1st, it is 2016 and up. And then those in the 2016 range, just know that you are definitely going to be in this position next year as well. So you can definitely put that into your consideration of upgrading this year to 2020. Let's talk a bit about what actually is FXCAD for those who aren't using it yet. And a reminder for those who are, and that is that it is AutoCAD. We take AutoCAD with a license from Autodesk and customize it to be faster to install, faster to run, condensed to just the tools the average landscape architect or irrigation designer needs, and then we rebrand the entire package into FXCAD. Under the hood, though, it is still AutoCAD, and that's the really important part. So it's still supported by us, and just a really quick reminder that it is PC only, but I'm actually running it today through on a Mac through Parallels, so you definitely can install that way as well. Let's kind of look, we're really transparent about what all of this means and what FXCAD is. So it's a lower cost, and feature-wise it falls somewhere in between AutoCAD LT and AutoCAD Full. And here is the full kind of can and can't list. So the can'ts in particular are all related to lists, third-party add-ons, 3D drafting, and Autodesk 360 tools. But look at all the can lists. For the vast majority, this is actually, it'll do what you need it to do for most people. If you're not sure, though, you kind of look through this list, you go through this webinar today, and you're still not sure, just send in a ticket. Just give us a call, ask us, lay out kind of your workflow and your scenario and the commands you use, and we can give you a definite yes or no answer that way. Another key feature about the difference between FXCAD and AutoCAD then is also the cost comparison and the license structure between FXCAD and full AutoCAD. So AutoCAD is obviously a subscription if you've looked into it. Right now on their website, the full list price is that $1,610. Whereas FXCAD is still a perpetual license. So that means you don't actually have to upgrade each year, so you don't have to pay that cost each year. So those who remember that AutoCAD also used to be perpetual, we basically negotiated a way to keep that perpetual license structure for FXCAD, and we are continuing with it. So that means that the initial purchase of the license, that is that $19.95 full list price. But the next year, though, in order to upgrade, so if you buy 2020 this year and you're upgrading next year to 2021, that would be $500 to upgrade, just 1 year's difference each year. But you can skip it. So if you were to skip it and say you're right now sitting anywhere between 2015 to 2018, versions of FXCAD, and you're wanting to upgrade to 2020 next week or in a little while, that's going to be that $995 price. And it's always that price no matter how many years you've already skipped. And then, of course, on top of both of those is that LandFX renewal and support, since LandFX is still an add-on onto FXCAD as well. But we just install it all at once because it does require that FXCAD does require that LandFX is installed and being used. So I did want to kind of do this cost comparison to make all of that cost page make a bit more sense and show you what that kind of spans out to for 5 years. So those people who have been using FXCAD for quite a while probably already know this, and just a reminder for those people and the people kind of considering it. If you were to upgrade FXCAD every single year, this is your total, and it's pretty much half the cost of if you were to pay the subscription fees on AutoCAD each and every year. So that's definitely something to consider. If you don't need all of that stuff that's in AutoCAD and you're set with FXCAD, then this is really, really a good option. And of course, you can skip the upgrades as we showed down here, and then just pay that $9.95 at any point in here, and you can kind of see that lowest possible cost. So they're different licenses. The key is with Perpetual, you have these options. You can upgrade or not. It's your budget and it's your choice. So we let you have that. Let's kind of talk about who should switch to FXCAD 2020. This is for people who haven't used FXCAD before. Really quickly, again, kind of emphasizing this point, it does require, in order to open up FXCAD, to pull a LandFX license. And that is part of our licensing agreement with Autodesk in order to allow this kind of lower cost, customized perpetual license to be available for you guys. So keep that in mind. You will need to maintain your LandFX license to use FXCAD as a CAD platform. If you are used to using just AutoCAD LT or AutoCAD without add-ons, then you're pretty much set to go with FXCAD, and you can just pay a little bit less and go that way. If you are maybe a larger firm, or you have a few people in your office that are using Civil 3D, for instance, like I used to, you can actually reduce costs in the office. And for instance, what I did was I had Civil licenses for just me and a few other people that knew how to actually use the Civil tools in Civil 3D. And then for everybody else who didn't need all of those extra tools, I just had them use FXCAD, and we were able to reduce the costs in our office for software that way. And really importantly, and I'm going to show it today, is that you can see XREF Civil 3D drawings in FXCAD as well. So those can work together in the same office. I've done it personally. Anybody, if you like that perpetual license style, this is a good choice for you. And then if you want to make sure that you have that option of staying up to date, but then when you do go up to date and install 2020, that you know 100% that it's going to be compatible with LandFX, and quite frankly, that it doesn't have any major bugs in it. We don't release FXCAD until we're very comfortable with it, so you can have that sense of security as well. And then for anybody who's experienced our customer support and you want that experience when you have a problem with AutoCAD as opposed to LandFX, and you want to ask some questions about just AutoCAD features, this is a good option for you as well to consider. So let's look into another key difference, and that is, I kind of mentioned it earlier, that it's faster to install and it's more efficient on your computer in general. And that is that installation procedure. So let's look at those and see how FXCAD is basically only giving you what you need. So we're at the beginning of the installation process right here. It looks pretty much the same between FXCAD 2020 and AutoCAD Full 2020. And when we go to it asking you, okay, what do you want to install? FXCAD is installing that FXCAD 2020. It's also installing the LandFX workstation right away, because since you do need that LandFX license to have it run, we make sure it all is put together as soon as you want to open it. Autodesk, if you want to use LandFX with it, you will need to install that workstation installer separately, but hey, it's just going to install AutoCAD 2020 here. Except when you go and you actually complete that installation, it didn't just install AutoCAD 2020, it installed a lot more. And whereas FXCAD just installed FXCAD in the workstation like it promised. And then if we even go a bit further and actually look at on our computer as to what was installed, there is even more in there that was installed with AutoCAD, whereas FXCAD is just FXCAD and the workstation. And obviously I had the server happen to be on my workstation when I took this screenshot. So that's just kind of making it really clear that this is just giving you what you need and making sure that your computer runs efficiently. Let's talk to the people who are they have FXCAD and you guys are considering through watching today's webinar whether you should upgrade to 2020. Besides all the cool features that we're about to go through, right after this. I wanted to list out here the reasons you should be upgrading every year regardless of that. So really quick as we kind of go through here, you get used to those changes every year if you do upgrade every year. Especially for those who are currently using FXCAD 2019. Think back to what FXCAD and AutoCAD 2015 was like. And there's actually quite a big difference between those two. And there's no way to kind of sugarcoat that. It is going to be a little bit of a jump for those going from 2015 to 2020. There are going to be quite a few changes. But for those who have been upgrading each and every year from 2015 to 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and then finally into 2020, basically you haven't noticed those changes too much, and you were able to adjust to them a lot faster without much downtime once you installed the latest version. Of course, being up to date always means it's easier to send and receive files from other firms. It's not a new version year this year, but just keep in mind that that's probably coming up soon. So getting into the habit of upgrading each year is key. I mentioned it's easier on the budget just because that $500 each year is easier to budget for as opposed to a larger amount once every few years. It's just something that you can, it's known and you can kind of go with it. Of course, you get the new features every year, which some of them are really, really awesome. And then obviously your interface, when you're looking at 2020, it's going to match all of our new power tips and webinars, as well as when you call in or you open up a ticket, you know that our staff are also running 2020. Of course, we still support back down to 2015 this year and 2016 next year, but obviously it's a little bit faster for those, for us to kind of help you when you're running the same version. Also, it's just a general way to encourage your office to generally keep up with computer maintenance, which is what you guys should be doing, always making sure everything's up to date so you're the most efficient in your workflow that you can be. With all of that in mind, let's get to the really fun stuff, which is what is actually new with 2020 this year. And here's the big list. You can kind of read through it. And I just kind of want to say, though, that there are a lot of showstoppers this year. Remember, I'll kind of reminisce. Remember back in 2016, where they introduced geometric center snap, polyline revision clouds, and smooth copying, and also the 2018 fixed the zoom and select issue. As guys, basically, this is kind of one of those years where new things happen that change your daily workflow life. You don't want to be the person kicking themselves for not getting PDF import back in 2017 when it was introduced. And I've definitely talked to some people who are in that boat. So it's really important to recognize the power of some of these tools. And I am actually going to show you them, obviously. So quick measure tool, I'm going to show you draw and compare and find non-purgeable items. Those are your showstopper tools this year. Just note, though, the improved performance, because it's not going to be something that I can really show in a live webinar format. The faster performance, that's tied to the tasks that you don't really know that you do about 100 to 500 times a day. It's the saves, it's loading the XREFs, regenerating the layers, things that might have taken 1.5 to 2 seconds before now take half a second. So it'll zip this year. It will be a little bit more subtle, but it really will make the difference, kind of like thinking of how slow loading an internet page used to be versus just a little bit faster really makes a difference in your daily life. Everything is also going to be crisp for your 5K monitor this year. Let's have a look then and go off into FXCAD 2020. And here we are. So the first thing I want to show you, because it's always the first thing that anybody asks, is how do I migrate my settings from my previous version? So I'm going to show you. It's down here in your Windows. I'm on Windows 10, obviously. And I go down here to AutoCAD and I pull that down, and there's migrate from a previous release. I'm not going to be able to run it right now because of timing and also because I have AutoCAD open. But I also want to say that I'm strongly recommending you don't do that and don't use that. And the reason I say that is that there are new tools in this version. And so your old customization of ribbons and just the interface in general won't have those new tools. So I'm saying it's honestly faster, at least in my experience, to just list your changes and just change them. And then the other part of that is the other thing that people normally bring in is those toolbars. If you've contacted support in the last 3 years about toolbars, you've been told to move away from them and go over to the ribbon. Today's the day, and the legacy FX toolbars are discontinued in 2020, and frankly, the AutoCAD toolbars haven't been updated since 2017 either by AutoCAD. So these toolbars are still in here, but the FXCAD ones aren't. I'm saying that so if you're facing the ribbon and all of this interface and you've used to use toolbars and you're a little scared and afraid, I'm saying don't be. I'm going to give you some tips to transition really quickly that I've been giving people for the last 3 years. So very right off the bat is shortcuts. Memorize your 2 and 3 letter shortcuts like PL for polyline or TR for trim, and kind of memorize those ones. And they're honestly, memorizing those shortcuts are going to be faster than trying to find any icon on the screen, even for a visual kind of person like me. Take a minute to find to memorize things though of where things are on the ribbon. So when you first install it, just kind of look around, drop down everything, make note of what's in there, and you will actually memorize where things are faster than you think. It becomes old hat very quickly, kind of like when I force myself to type with 2 hands. Also, you want to customize your quick access toolbar. We've customized this actually quite a bit. You can see a lot of new things in here, but I'm going to show you if you want to add some more things in here. This is your new super toolbar. So what you can do is there's a few ways to do that. You can type in CUI, another 3-letter shortcut that I like to use, and open up that customize user interface. And then here is your quick access toolbar right there with everything in it. So you can go ahead and search for anything like, let's say I want to add extend to the quick access toolbar. I just grab that and I drag and I drop it in, and there it is, drag and dropped in. So I say okay, and I might actually move that down to the end. There we go. And I say apply, and I say okay. And there it is, ready to use in your quick access toolbar. So if you need that, that's how you do that. You can also say you want copy with base point. You can just right click that one and add that one to the quick access toolbar as well, and that gets added. So lots of ways to really, really quickly customize, as well as you can always add your own shortcuts as well. With that kind of on put together on how to customize, let's talk about that civil connection. So we make sure that the object enabler is already loaded in FXCAD. So I have opened up a civil drawing, and I know I've loaded the intense version, but just to kind of show you, if I open up my, if I select one of these and open up my properties, you can see it's listed as an AutoCAD proxy entity, but I can definitely see it. And these are feature lines, these are elevations, but I can see them and you can XREF them in. So that's just to show you that you can do that. Now let's go back here and let's actually go through the ribbon. So the first thing about the ribbon is, hey, it's blue. I listed that. That was in our list before, but there's a new dark blue theme. This has changed a lot of things like how all of those icons look. And while they did that, I can't show it because of the format needed for the video of the webinar, but in high definition, these are super, super crisp. So it's a lot of new colors with a lot of emphasis added to them, so it's a bit easier to recognize things like between these two. And then the next thing is that while we're in here, we've added some new tools into, say, the home ribbon. So we've really kind of upgraded the home ribbon based on some feedback and then some new tools that we created ourselves. So if I drop down hatch, you can see that I have P hatch in here. And then also coming in 2020, you can see what just happened. I rolled over, and our rollover text for people trying to learn what different tools are has been enhanced so that we have a visual guide as to what those tools do. So it's a lot easier to recognize what they did. And to do that, you just kind of hover over something and let it fall down after a few seconds. I've actually sped mine up, but after a few seconds, you'll get that. So you can try out pHatch. We have a great power tip already on that one. But then over here in the modify ribbon, you can see we have added a bit more information as to what's in each of these drop downs. So move and copy, it actually has also erase and explode, but we wanted to make sure that you knew everything that was in here since we had 2 lines to work with. So you can also use Xcopy and Xcorrode, 2 of the new tools that we've added to land effects we put here in the home ribbon of FXCAD right next to where you'd find move and copy. So if you need to do something like, let's look at this drop down. So step 1 is select the items, including the labels. Step 2 is select the base point. Step 3 is select the new point. And step 4 is to rotate it. So let's try that out. If I go Xcorrode, and we go down here and we grab all of these plants right here and their labels, and right click to accept, and step 2 is select the base point, and step 3 is select a new location, and step 4 is to rotate it. And with all of that, I can then grab these, of course, go through my properties, change that rotation, and move around all of those M leader plant callouts. So that's some new things that you can do in here, and those are all nice on the home ribbon. We also took out array and mirror due to popular demand, so that they are their own drop down and a little easier to find on the home ribbon. Not much else has changed in here other than in Edit Polyline. We also have Super Join in here now. If you haven't used that, this is a really powerful tool. If you just, here I have kind of an example where all of my lines for here, maybe I imported them from SketchUp and they all came in as disconnected lines. Or for some reason they were exploded at some time. I can go in here, grab Super Join, and just select one of those lines, and it will find everything else that's on the same layer and connect them all into polylines. This is a great tool to use when cleaning up a drawing, especially maybe a base plan, to start placing hatches inside, and now we have it right here, easy for you to find. The last one kind of, or no, actually not the last one, but also on here we've added X layer. So in here, this used to be X list, and we decided that that definitely needed an upgrade, so we upgraded it. So if you select things like, okay, this is some line work actually in an XREF here, I can grab X layer and then just click on that one, and a pop-up comes up. It tells me what kind of object that is in the XREF, what layer that object is in the XREF, and then also what color and what line type it is. But beyond XList, I can actually click that color and I can change that color to whatever I want. And click OK, and it's changed. So you can do that also. You saw with that line type, you can change based on what's loaded. You can also load something new. So that is a really super powerful tool that you can start to use. It works on line works in the current drawing as well as those inside blocks. So definitely try that out and let us know what you think about it. Also on here, okay, so those were kind of some like more land effects tools that we added to the home ribbon in FXCAD. But actually in AutoCAD, that new showstopper AutoCAD tool is right here. We have Quick Measure. This is a new one in 2020 only. So if you click on Quick Measure, I'll show you what it does. Basically, you kind of go around your plan and it tells you the measurement in real time as I'm dragging it along of what the distance is between all of the objects. So if the lines are parallel, or if they're parallel but also kind of on the angle of 90 degrees, it'll tell you the distance between the two lines. But otherwise, it will also, you can kind of see it's telling me how the length of all of the lines that it's touching. It's also telling me the angle of some of these angles so I can identify issues in the drawing, like for instance, how this was not drawn at 90 degrees perfectly. So that's a mistake on my part that I can now identify and easily fix with this tool. And you can kind of go around your tool, and it's a fun one to kind of play around with. So I definitely encourage you to do that. Let's see. The next one that I wanted to show you is actually a tool that's not on the home ribbon right now, but it's a really, really powerful tool that you can get with FXCAD 2020. And that is Drawing Compare. So I have this drawing, and it's a new version of the drawing, and I want to see exactly what changed between this drawing and this drawing. Now, if you're really, really good at find the difference between the two images, that game, you probably have seen some of the changes already, but probably haven't seen all of them. So now there's a tool to basically make sure that even those without that kind of skill can see the differences too. So I just go up here to my FX button and I go down to Drawing Utilities, and we're going to go to DWG Compare and click on that. It's going to ask me which one do I want to compare. So I'm actually going to have to find that file for that old version and open it up. And it's analyzing it and it's telling me exactly all the things that have changed. So if I drop this down, you can see what it's doing. So those in red are not in the current drawing. Those in green are only in the current drawing. Anything gray hasn't changed at all. You have one for if there's a drawing order change. You can also change all of these colors. You can change how the revision clouds work that are going around them. So I can change that to polygonal, so it just hugs the information, or back to rectangular. I can kind of change the size of how big that cloud is around this, and a few other options. But I can also go and click next and kind of zoom in and check out all of the different changes. Like for here, that line isn't here, and I kind of got rid of the umbrellas and added a few more tables and added a planter in the middle. So you can kind of identify, okay, what happened between all of these two versions? Maybe you have a client that's kind of asking you, what did you really do here? You can also go ahead and if you wanted to grab any of these changes back, you can import the objects, or if you wanted to have that reference file that basically shows all of these changes in these colors, you can export a snapshot. So that can be your proof to your client. Look, this is all the changes that we did. And so I'm just going to click this check to exit. And that is a super powerful tool that I am so happy that we have now. So we have that quick measure, we have that drawing compare, and then we have two more items I kind of wanted to show. So insert ribbon hasn't changed too much from last year. Annotate ribbon, though, we did condense down the FX leaders with text. So this used to be a big long list for M leaders and then just leaders, but now they're collected into single tools where if you click on it, it will ask you what style you want. And then, of course, you can kind of place that down, and then after placing it, you can right-click to enter back into the options, or hit enter to enter back into the options and change the display of that. So that's a bit more convenient for that. We also added some new tools in the FX side on here. View also hasn't changed too much from last year, but in Manage, we have another showstopper. So in here, it looks pretty similar. You've got your awesome cleanup bar, but we have this great tool right here. And this has been something I've been wishing for years, and we finally have it. Find non-purgeable items. So if you click on this, and it's a lot more powerful than you even are expecting. So if I look at the purgeable items list, it's reorganized. It looks a little bit differently. So all the information is kind of over here now when you want to decide if you want to purge nested items. I still find our instant purge from our land effects tool that we introduced quite a while ago to be better still than the purge. But sometimes if I just want to purge out one block but not all of the layers in a drawing, I'll still go into here to find those purge. But one big change in here is that you can click on things and actually see if it's a block. You can see a preview of what that block is. So that's really cool. But you can also get that over here in Find Non-Purgeable Items. So you've all had that time when you've tried to find a text style that you are trying to delete and you're trying to purge out, but the system won't let you because it claims it's being used. Well, now I can click on Schedule Text. I can see what it looks like, but I can also see all the places that it's used. So it's actually used in 40 different places inside all of these M text inside this table. You can find those to figure out where they are. So you can start to use this to hone in on how to get rid of that item that you need to purge. Like for instance, if you need to say purge a block out in order to load in a new version of that block into the drawing to redefine it. If you click on one of these, you can see that preview of it, but you can also see where it is. So it's telling me I have 42 in model space on this layer, but I also have one that's nested inside this other block. So you can kind of go on that little hunt to find it, to finally get it out so that you can redefine it if you need to. But you can also select the objects that aren't nested in there. So I can click on this. It selects all of them. I can delete them. These happen to be plants, so maybe I'll just edit the plant and change the symbol, purge it out then, and then change the symbol back, and it will reload the new version. So that's really, really powerful tool that you can use in a lot of instances, like dimension styles. You can use it for different layers, as well as basically anything that you can purge out. So that's, let's see, that is some of those showstoppers. The last kind of thing that I wanted to show off that's different in FXCAD 2020 is actually part of the saving process. It's a little feature, but I know some of our users are going to find it really, really helpful, is that those who are kind of using online storage for their file management, you've got more options now in terms of what you can quickly and dynamically connect to. So if I try and say open something, and I've got either OneDrive or Dropbox or Box connected to this computer, you can now, they have their own individual icons, and it has a bit more power now in terms of being able to tell when two people try and open it. Not something I can really show during the webinar, but I wanted to kind of point that out so you can keep that in mind as you go through everything. So with all of that, I kind of wanted to do a recap then of everything we've gone through before we move on to the question period. So start getting in your questions, and we'll definitely answer all of them. We have plenty of time. So the recap of why is this worth it? So really, top is you can afford the latest tools is the one thing. You can kind of get into FXCAD and start affording all these latest tools that I just showed off. You can also use the same version that our support videos and documentation show, and as well as the same version that our support staff is using, so you have that peace of mind. You can lower your office software budget if you're smart about it. And you can also know that it works with LandFX. Guaranteed works with LandFX. It's an easier installation. It's not a big deal. And it just does what you need with a simpler interface. You have those integrated LandFX tools right inside your ribbons. So you know that your users are using the LandFX the LandFX textiles and tools instead of the AutoCAD ones that aren't as smart. And it's just, we found, and a lot of new users have found, that it's easier to learn CAD with based off of all the features that we added in previous years, like templates right off the bat. So those are a lot of reasons if you're thinking of moving to FXCAD, why to do it, and if you're thinking to upgrade your existing FXCAD to 2020, why to do it. So let's see if we have any questions that we can get to.
We definitely have some good questions. George, who, of course, he goes way back. I love his question because he's going to catch us on these things. But he noticed that we don't have our delete layer button anymore, and he was just kind of curious, when did we remove that? And that's true because that goes way back. But because LandFX dates to before the Layers 2 toolbar. You remember in the actual evolution of it was there was the Express tools had a layers toolbar, and then that became Layers 2, and then that just became layers. But all those really cool little layer buttons of AutoCAD, of make layer current and layer freeze and all of that, but one of them was layer delete. But we had LandFX tools that basically replicated a lot of those, and over the years we've ended up discontinuing all of them. And that delete layer was the last one we removed because we liked it because it was so quick to delete all the plant labels, because you could just click on a plant label and it would delete that whole layer very, very quickly. Doesn't require the additional right click that the AutoCAD one does. But just a classic example of this constant sort of arms race between us and AutoCAD of what's a feature that we have to engineer, and then they eventually have something that it basically works. Maybe it's one click more or something, and we end up for the sake of just keeping our code base tight and not having all these duplicated AutoCAD features, we end up opting for the AutoCAD version in some of those instances. So, but good eye, George. A couple people are curious when this FXCAD 2020 will be available, and stay tuned for the announcement next week. So the newsletter on Monday will be announcing the release. So that will be exciting. And we had a question on 3D from Yvonne. She didn't clarify what she was after, but just that is good to clarify that in the what FXCAD can and can't do, that the 3D tools are unavailable. The 3D tools, the lighting tools, the rendering tools are all part of the things that are gone. So that, like Amanda said, that FXCAD is basically more analogous to AutoCAD LT. So that really is the best starting place to say, what is FXCAD? Basically anything that AutoCAD LT can do, FXCAD can do, because we start with essentially AutoCAD LT. It is a bit of a mutt. There's some features from full AutoCAD that it has, and so it's a little bit closer to full AutoCAD than AutoCAD LT. But definitely it's things like the limiting of the 3D tools and things are not going to be in FXCAD, but everything else it is that AutoCAD engine. So you're going to have all the other tools, and of course, for your basic drafting that we need to get out of it, that's what we're using it for. And my gosh, that is those are all the questions. Do you have any comments on those, Amanda?
No, one comment with the 3D drafting is, I mean, we connect to SketchUp, Rhino, Revit, so we've opted for those platforms that landscape architects and irrigation designers are more apt to use if they need to. So that's kind of why we went down that road with FXCAD, but it just makes it a lot faster to run. Frankly, it's I've been finding it's been faster to install and actually faster to start up. So I really, really like it, and I've been using it, I think, since it got first released. So I'm still a fan.
Exactly. Yeah, and the blue theme too. I mean, probably is it's at once it's very easy to say, oh gee, all you did was change some colors. But in fairness, I think actually Adobe is the one who did the research, and that it's just much better on the eyes for looking at for a long period of time.
I have my masks set to the wrong color in this one, but just as to kind of show it off, I show this as white in my videos because we found it's easier for video recording to see it, for people to see the recording. But on my daily basis in my tester, I actually have this model space set to black, and I even have blue tint glasses, and that white can be a little bit harsh, and the light theme can be pretty harsh. So I actually like setting it like that. So if you wanted to set the black theme or the black background with your dark theme, you can change back to light theme here, or you can go into your colors and set that to white over here, if anybody was curious about that. Yeah. I think if that's all the questions, Jer,
I think just definitely just clarifying. I think Austin has a good question. I think just kind of clarifying this separation between land effects. What is land effects versus what is FXCAD? And again, it's not. Try and just you don't overcomplicate it. So try to keep it as simple as possible. FXCAD is just the AutoCAD engine. So that's all that it is. It doesn't, it does require land effects, and it will come with land effects. But in the same way that maybe you started with AutoCAD 2019 and you installed land effects, what did you have at that point? You had AutoCAD 2019 plus land effects. If you then go, wow, I saw this webinar and I really want FXCAD, the only thing that'll change is you're going to swap out your AutoCAD 2019 engine for the FXCAD 2020 engine. And so you'll have now the FXCAD as your AutoCAD engine, and you'll still have then the land effects installed on top of it. And so it's just a swap out for the AutoCAD engine and only the AutoCAD engine, but that also means that these cool features like draw and compare, and the quick, what's the quick little dimension hover thing?
Quick measure.
Sorry, the quick measure. Those are AutoCAD features. So we cannot make that available to a land effects user who's using AutoCAD 2019 because it's an AutoCAD feature. So if that makes that more clear.
Yep, I think it basically comes down to you have your land effects license, and then you have your FXCAD license. So land effects is still technically a plugin into FXCAD, just like it's a plugin into AutoCAD.
And certainly, and unfortunately, we are making it a little challenging because, as we meld, especially on like that home ribbon and, and on the manage ribbon,
yeah.
we really are melding them. And so it is understandably a little confusing of like, oh, well, wait a minute, what's this or what's that? And it's like, understood. And so, in fairness, I have an easy way to make this simple. all of our users should just simply buy FXCAD. But no, there's
Hey,
definitely
there's a time and place for civil too.
exactly. No, there's actually that's it. There's the argument for, of course, certain things you do, certain add-ons you're going to need to be doing. Like Yvonne mentioned, if she's going to be doing 3D modeling in CAD, she's going to need the full version of AutoCAD.
Yeah.
If you need the civil package, you need the civil package. So there's a place to a part to play for FXCAD, and for the ones where it does fit. I mean, they're definitely very, very happy, and very happy to get their technical support for all those CAD issues.
Yeah, and I might just add that I had a question a few weeks ago from somebody who was they were asking if FXCAD had like some special AutoCAD map tools, which it doesn't have that extension tools, just like it doesn't have the civil tools. But we figured out that they had options. For instance, they really just needed to import GIS shape files. And we found that using FXCAD while also purchasing a third-party separate conversion software was less expensive than having a full subscription to AutoCAD Map. And they really just needed that conversion ability that AutoCAD Map had. So it's more just you need what you need. And if you need more map or Civil 3D tools, then yeah, get AutoCAD Map or Civil 3D. You could get a license or two of that, and then all the other users who don't need those tools have FXCAD. And it's more of like along the lines of being smart with your money, and it's a CAD manager trick that way. You don't need to buy, for instance, a high-end render machine for every workstation either. So some users can use the higher-end tools, and for those where FXCAD makes sense, then you can save some money that way.
Exactly. And you know what? There's another good, excellent question, actually, which would, that'd be a fun last one. I think because
Okay.
because Joe's just sitting here staring at the ribbon, that mirror ribbon that you have popped up,
Mm-hmm.
and he was kind of curious the difference between the mirror commands and why is that there. So Amanda is totally going to show why FX Mirror is far superior. Basically, AutoCAD Mirror has its place. I would prefer that place be the trash can, but we kind of have to leave
Let's
it
see.
there because there might actually be a need to use the AutoCAD mirror command, but
Oh,
it messes stuff up is the short answer, and so the FXCAD, or I'm sorry, the Land Effects mirror basically just does a more traditional copy of the objects. It doesn't actually do a weird translation and project them through a projection matrix, which ends up like reversing the blocks. If you use the AutoCAD mirror command, it's just a total nightmare. Basically, I don't know why they would think that's acceptable. It's like a lot of things in AutoCAD. It's great for mechanical drafting if you want to mirror the gears of a transmission and you use the AutoCAD mirror command. But if you want to mirror the placement of some blocks, it's totally unusable. And so that's where our Land Effects mirror comes in. So I'll let Amanda show that again. We can narrate it.
yeah. So I'm kind of showing the mirror tool. If I go with FX Mirror instead and grab, let's go with all of these. Oh, great. I'm going to grab these two as well, aren't I? Yep. Okay, let's get rid of those. And then I kind of mirror that one across. And then we look at this one versus this one. This is the prime example of why FX Mirror is in there, is that when I use that one, these two blocks, it kept the rotation of the symbol itself at a rotation of 333, which is what I have in this drawing, so that the shadow is in the right place. My shadows are actually, now I just noticed them, they're all over the place. But I can easily run the shadow command to ring them all together. But if I mirror these ones, it's actually flipping them entirely. And this becomes a bigger problem if you have some symbols that especially have like a cross symbol for a proposed planting. and then you mirror it on a diagonal, that cross goes, it turns into an X instead of a cross.
Or the
Uh,
alphanumerics would just be completely messed up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't have any alphanumerics in here. So that's the key, as well as like the array tools are just a little bit easier. You can use them with that exact spacing or best fit spacing, as well as a few easier tools in terms of organizing the angle of it. But basically, we have all those in here, and we put them at the top because most of the people using FXCAD are using land effects. And usually they're using the planting tools or the irrigation tools or the reference note tools. And if you use those AutoCAD arrays and mirrors on those ones, it can definitely mess them up. And also with the data. Whereas the land effects tools, they don't mess up the look and they don't mess up the data either on all of those. So that's basically the reason a lot of land effects tools are in here, is that it's a way to make sure that as a CAD manager, you're making sure that the tools that some of your drafters need are front and center.
Well, really, the short answer for why those are in there is because we offer the tech support for any CAD issues. And so we don't want to deal with these hokey, unusable things. And so we're going to because, when someone calls in and says, I'm trying to mirror something, we're like, oh, you know what? Let's put our mirror button over there. And, that really, that also brings up the other very, very important point of, again, since this is just AutoCAD, you're welcome to customize this. Go into the CUI and you can tweak it. You can we also include the stock AutoCAD 2020 CUI. So if you want to swap out all of this customization that we painstakingly did panel by panel, and just have the stock AutoCAD 2020 ribbon, you're more than welcome to. Go right ahead. If you can't even find it, you can download it there is a KB article on our website, which even shows you steps on how to do that. So you're absolutely welcome to. Again, that's part of the beauty of having this be a genuine, Autodesk release, genuine AutoCAD engine, is all the customization is there, all the importing and exporting is there, all the command macros are there. So it's not like, when we experimented with something like a BricsCAD or some sort of AutoCAD knockoff, where things are genuinely different. This is genuine Autodesk AutoCAD, and so that's what makes it so easy to work with and so familiar to work with. It's just like you have this whole team of people as your CAD managers available, and that's exactly what it was. Like I said, we had a good bevy of us tweaking this button by button. I know Amanda was quite frustrated at the many revisions I sent her on with some of these things. But
they're all good revisions, though.
See, thank you. But anyway, hey, so I hope that made it super clear, and I hope you're excited to see it. Anything else pops up as you rewatch this webinar next week, of course, show it to your coworkers. Any other questions, please feel free to call us or email, and enjoy that amazing support that we offer as we address your questions. But otherwise, I'm just going to wish everybody a happy weekend.
Yeah, have a great day, guys.